Hey guys, welcome to the channel. We've got a continuation on the first video we did last week of these craftsmen, and they are the V series, but I want to do a video now of the USAG, or this would be very similar to your Mac tools, where they are very similar in design, but we're going to go over what's different about them, why these exist versus these, are these better than these, and what purpose would you have for yourself picking up a set such as this? So we'll go into that. And this is the second video. There will be a third video on this as well. And the third one's going to be a little bit of a shocker. So hang tight. We'll talk more about this in this video, but also hang tight because the third video will come as well. So let's dive in and learn more about this USAG set. So right off the bat, this box is what this set comes in. It actually comes in two different piece sets. What you see here is the combination set. When you look at this case here, the case actually doesn't come with it. Unlike the Craftsman set that comes with this nice case, which arguably the Craftsman set is actually still nicer than this USAG. It's a little bit flimsier. It doesn't have the metal pin within. And when it comes to labeling, they literally take a sticker and run it across the back. They don't have the painted markings that are actually, recessed, and they actually took the time to make these ones. It's on both sides too. So they do a really, really great job with this carrying case. And they're by the same company. So Stanley Black & Decker makes all this, but for whatever reason, they just did not quite put forth the effort on this one. So is it bad? No. Is it as good? No. And make a note here too, you are also going to have to make some modifications to make your number 14 fit. I think everything else so far worked, but a little oversight on their part. So is it as crisp and clean? No, it's not. Now, jumping into this set that we have here, it is the 285X. The X delineates the longer extended handle. So in reference, we could go back here to the V series, and you can see for the 13 here that the lengths are different, right? It is extended, and USAG claims that the X refers to a 30% longer handle. So if you're thinking to yourself, hey, and especially if you've watched the last video, these are standard size wrenches. They're just not long. They're not short by any means, but they're just not long either. Well, the USAG comes in with that longer reach, so that's where you get that benefit of the extra long handle. Now, the part number, I'll show it to you guys here once again, is going to be U02850951. So that is the part number for it. And it's the 285X or also the SE. And it's a 12-piece set. So this 12-piece set comes in and starts at 8 millimeters and goes all the way up to 19 millimeters. And when they mail it to you, it's going to come in this box, and it's going to come in each individually packaged wrenches. I saved this one for you guys. I don't know why, but I did. I didn't open it so you could see exactly what the contents look like. And again, you can see imported by Stanley Black & Decker. So for whatever reason, these Stanley Black & Deckers are made in Taiwan. I'm almost certain these ones are too, but for whatever reason, it's saying it's imported for the Italy market. So everything on these says Italy. Although fit, finish, design, it is almost, identical. They changed the fonts, the head shapes, right? They're all almost identical. We'll talk about the technology in a second that goes into the open and box end. But, obviously they changed the beam design just a little bit. They both get fatter as they get towards the tail section, which is nice. And they both have that extended offset, which is the same as well. So very similar. I think I do prefer the USAG. Mac is exactly the same here in the center. They has like this little split beam down the middle, and then it just says Mac in the center. So it's exactly the same design-wise there. I think it's just a stamping for that. So the front and back says USAG. This says 285X on all of them, and in all four corners, front and back, it shows the size. So font changes versus the Craftsman, and the Craftsman uses a laser etching on the back. And just like the Craftsman, it also has that 15-degree boxed in offset. This is a 6-point though, as opposed to the 12 point. And as many of you guys mentioned in the last video, the Craftsman V series is going to be very similar to the Facom 440, whereas the USAG is going to be much closer in design to the Mac, and in particular the Mac RBRT, which is a step above when it comes to stuck fasteners, a step above what was previously the precision torque technology that Mac has. Because I believe the precision torque was just the head here, and it was a little less aggressive as this too. The RBRT takes it a step further, which is a great technology. So on the tail end here, again, 6 sides. You can see that it has 3 facets on 3 point locations, and then it is smooth on the other 3. And what that does is when you have yourself a bolt that is rounded off, you're able to get it inside there, and it's able to grab more so in the center of the flats than towards the corners like a 12-point will. So it gives you that added grip. Hang tight, we're going to do a demonstration of that here more towards the end of the video, so you guys can see how that differs between the 2 technologies. Now, you may ask yourself, okay, this USAG is pretty cool. Where do we find this? Who retails this? Well, you're not going to find it in your usual places. I picked up this set from, and there's only a couple, I think, retailers that are overseas that offer these. And I went with Mr. Worker, who sells this whole set without the carrying case for about $130. Now, if you want the carrying case, that's like an extra $10, and then shipping here to the US. So if you're looking to buy multiples, because you're going to save yourself on the shipping when you ship it here to the US. But still, great price. Now, how does that pricing compare to, say, this Craftsman set? Well, the Craftsman set you can get on sale for $40. You're going to get the same number of pieces out of the Craftsman set as you do with this one. Only difference really being is the size quantities that you get, because it skips over here in the Craftsman, whereas this one doesn't. This one starts off at 8, whereas this one starts off at 7, but it skips 9. So this is a complete skip-free set for the USAG. Again, pricing about $40 if you get it on sale. Otherwise, it's $80. Pricing for the USAG, $130. A little bit more expensive, but you get some gains, and that's going to be in these head designs, right? Both in the open side, it's going to be more prone to grabbing onto fasteners and not letting them slip, versus the Craftsman that does not have that technology. Right, and this isn't a great example. This is a 12 millimeter and a 13, but this is helping to show that that box end, it's going to be unable to grip on the 12 point versus the 6 point. It could even grab onto this 12 millimeter. So pricing is actually really good at $130, because if you consider what Mac sells the RBRT at, their similar set is going to be $330. So do you want to pay $330, or do you want to pay $140 with everything, including the case with this, and then shipping? You're still going to be less than half the cost of Mac. So really good price. And maybe you want the Mac. The Mac has a good carrying case too. It's a good setup, but pricing wise, you're going to be hard pressed to beat the USAG. Let's go ahead. We're going to do a little test here on the box end, so you guys could see how a rounded fastener works with this RBRT technology. All right, hang tight. All right, guys, we're going to give this a shot now. What we have is a nicely rounded off bolt. Let's start with our Craftsman, number 14. This is a 14 millimeter bolt, and we will start with the 12 point. Again, it will not grasp onto it. But I will note that on this end, on the open end, it actually has really tight tolerances. And I didn't show it in the last video, but the tolerances are nice and tight. So it does a really good job grabbing onto fasteners, even when they're rounded. Get some pretty good torque on this, and it's holding in place. So again, you could take it off and put it back on. So good on the Craftsman V series. Let's jump into the USAG with its RBRT 285X technology. So open end, again, grabs on, tightens, right? You could get on there. Let's see how tight we could get that. get a couple more turns out of that actually. So really good biting effort there. I mean, because you can see in those teeth, they bite in, and this hump likes to sit right on the flat of the bolt. So great technology, works really well. Okay, well, let's try the 6-point and see how well that works with the fastener. So we tightened it up pretty tight. Let's see how much tighter we could get with it. Oh, it's lots tighter. Lots tighter. And you can see it does wiggle around a little bit, right? Because you don't have as much material holding it. But it's doing a great job hitting on the flats. And we'll take this bolt off so you guys can see how much it's been beat up. So, of course, you can see there I knocked off all of the corners. It should look more in line with this. But, of course, when you knock off the corners, right, say you work on something, you strip it, it's going to cut those corners right off. And it's going to make it very difficult to remove it with the traditional wrench or even socket. So that's where the RBRT technology does a really good job on both ends. Now, you may ask yourself here the next question, and I'll propose this to you guys. Do you like working with 6-point, or do you prefer 12-point when working on projects? And do you necessarily want that RBRT technology on regular fasteners? Because as you go to work on a fastener, you're going to get a couple degrees of play before engagement. Whereas with this one, you're right on it. So my personal opinion on this is I would run a standard set of wrenches most of the time. If I know I'm going to get on a job, or say it's rusty, or if it's just really difficult, or I know it's over torqued, then I might just jump ahead to this. But trying to get a 6-point on a bolt or nut is just cumbersome, because if you're in the engine bay or you're working on something in a confined space, that is difficult to use. But I would say get a wrench set like this, because when you can no longer use this wrench, your standard wrench, you are going to want to have this to help you out and to back you up. So that's my take. I use these typically first, unless I know there's going to be a problem, then I jump into this. But otherwise, it's just the technology behind this. It works great, but it also makes it more cumbersome on an everyday scale. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Please, tell me what you guys think. What would you guys grab between these two? And hang tight. Video number 3 is going to come out here relatively soon, and I'm going to surprise you guys with something that falls, well, just outside of these two designs that you guys probably haven't heard of yet, and I'm willing to guarantee you haven't. So hang tight, and please like, please subscribe, and we'll meet you guys on the next video.